Hi everyone, this is Arvind from MindMajix, and today I welcome you all to this amazing session on Power Automate interview questions. Okay, so Power Automate has been in demand since quite a few months in the IT industry. Okay, so if you're someone who's looking for a job or preparing for a job related to Power Automate or even Power BI, I would say. Okay, so these days in Power BI interviews as well, if you know Power Automate. So in that case, you will be having an upper hand, or you can say an edge over other candidates. So Power Automate is a very important component. Okay. And in this video, we are going to discuss the most frequently asked questions in the Power Automate interview. Okay. So guys, as far as this video is concerned, we have classified the number of questions in this video into three categories. Okay. So the first category of questions is Power Automate interview questions for freshers. The second category of question is for experienced candidates, like those who have 2 to 3 years of experience. Okay, and then the third category of questions is very frequently asked interview questions of Power Automate. Okay, so those are kind of miscellaneous, or you can say mixed questions. Okay, so I hope this is clear with everyone. So without any further ado, let's get started. Okay, so as I said earlier, the first category of questions is for freshers. Okay, so the first question over here is, tell me the 4 key products of Power Platform. Okay, so guys, this is a very simple question. And as you can see on the screen, these are the various, or you can say the key components or products of Power Platform, such as Power Virtual Agents, Power Automate, Power Apps, and Power BI. Okay, so very simple question. And let's move ahead. Okay, so the next question is, what are the main 4 pillars in Power Automate? Okay, so as you can see on the screen, the 4 main pillars in Power Automate are automated at scale, seamless and secure integration, accelerated productivity, and intelligent automation. Okay, so these are 4 key pillars, or you can say main pillars in Power Automate. Okay, so the next question is, list the differences between Power Automate and Power Automate for desktop. If you talk about Power Automate, so Power Automate is mainly used through API automation, which is based on cloud. Okay, and if you talk about Power Automate for desktop, so this is used through UI automation for web or Windows terminal. Okay, so this is the key difference between Power Automate and Power Automate for desktop. Okay, so now let's move ahead to the next question. So the next question is, what is Power Automate environment? Okay, so it is a space that stores and manages business data. Okay, so all these data are coming from chatbots, apps, and flows. It keeps separately more apps that are having different purposes or different objectives. So we can have a separate environment for security requirements, target variables, development production, and so on. The next question is, what do you mean by solution Power Automate? So in Power Automate, we use many mechanisms, and all of these are called solutions to implementing asset lifecycle management. So it has packages for all the separate components to solve the business problems. So once we host flows in solutions, the solutions react like portable, working effortlessly. It can move from one environment to another automatically. Okay, so the next question is, explain the different types of flows in Power Automate. Okay, so guys, as you can see on the screen, these are the different types of flows in Power Automate, such as business process flows, cloud flows, and desktop flows. Okay, so if you talk about business process flows, so it helps the users to get scheduled work done. Okay, then it breaks the work into steps to get the best output. Okay, so if you talk about the cloud flow, so here the flows are automatically executed by triggering up the workflow in schedule or currently. And the third flow is the desktop flow. So if you talk about desktop flows, so it is from a powerful platform that helps to automate web tasks or desktop tasks. Okay, so these are 3 kinds of flows in Power Automate. Now let's move ahead. So the next question is, tell me the components of cloud flow. Okay, so guys, as you can see on the screen, these are the 3 components of cloud flow, such as trigger, action, and conditions. Okay, so if you talk about trigger, So this is an event that states the flow in the cloud. Okay. And now if you talk about action, so once a trigger is called on, the action will start working. Okay. And the third component in Cloudflow is conditions. So this is the logical set that asks actions to start as per the logic. Okay. So these are the different components in the Cloudflow. The next question is Power Automate compatible with Windows 10 home version? Okay. So we can easily use it in Windows 10 home version, and we can create desktop flows and monitor them using Power Automate web portal, but it cannot be run from the cloud. The next question is, tell me the differences between Power Automate console and Power Automate flow designer. Okay, so guys, whenever you're asked such kind of questions in the interview, okay, so what you can do is you can always ask the interviewer for a piece of paper, and on a piece of paper, what you can do is you can, create two columns, one for Power Automate console and the second one for the Power Automate flow designer. Okay, and in those respective columns, you can mention the points. Okay, so if you talk about Power Automate console, so the flow console is the desktop interface. And in case of Power Automate Flow Designer, the Flow Designer is a set of tools for a desktop. Okay. The second point in Power Automate console is you can launch Flow Designer from the Flow console. Okay. And in case of Power Automate Flow Designer, you can launch it from the desktop itself. And the third point over here is, like in case of Power Automate console, so you can delete, rename, and run the current flows. Okay. And in case of Power Automate Flow Designer, you can just change the variable. Okay, so these are the three key differences between Power Automate console and Power Automate flow designer. Okay, so the next question is, name all the Power Automate panes. So guys, this is a very simple question, and as you can see on the screen, these are the various Power Automate panes such as workspace, action pane, variable pane, UI elements pane, images pane, errors pane, and so on. Now let's move ahead. So the next question is, why do we need to implement subflows? It's a group of action that works, and it includes the desktop flow as well. Okay, so each flow has main flow characteristics. Okay, and we can include any other subflows inside any of the subflow. Okay, so like you can include multiple subflows in one subflow. So the next question is, explain the differences between run subflow action and run desktop flow action. Okay, so run subflow action can initiate the subflow in the main desktop flow, whereas run desktop flow action can initiate another desktop flow, which is known as child desktop flow. Okay, so the next point over here is run subflow action cannot initiate the input variables, whereas run desktop flow action can initiate the input variables. Okay, so these are the two key differences between run subflow action and run desktop flow action. Okay, so let's move ahead with the next question. So guys, the next question over here is, name the standard variable data types that are available in Power Automate. Okay, so guys, as you can see on the screen, these are the various types of variable data types such as text, numeric, boolean, list, data table, data row, custom object, mail message, file, and folder. The next question is how the input output variables and flow variables are different. Okay, so basically this means what is the difference between input output variables and flow variables. Okay, so input output is liable to pass the data from one point to another point inside the Power Automate cloud flows. So even we can use the input values to determine the values at the time of flow running. But on the other hand, the flow variables work with all active variables in the desktop flow. The next question is, what do you know about sensitive variables? So we know that flow variables are very sensitive. So input, output, and flow work within the variables pane. However, all these sensitive variables will not show the flow designer at the time of code debugging. So these variables will not work for desktop flows that Power Automate initiates in the web portal console. The next question is, explain actions. Okay, so actions represent the basic building blocks of a desktop flow. So it has categorized different action groups like variables, conditions, loops, flow controls, run flow, and so on. The next question is, what do you know about UI elements? So UI elements help to identify and interact directly with windows and the data resorting to the particular images that are recognized by the methods. The next question is, do you perform work while the desktop flow is working? So the answer to this question is yes, we can work while the desktop flow is working because the interface is the same. So while this flow is working, we can use any human interface to input any values into a block point. So yes, of course, we need to use the Power Automate to control the writes. The next question is, what are the browsers we can use in Power Automate? So Power Automate makes automation in desktop flow, which reconfiguration and works out of the box. So this platform can be used in Google Chrome, Internet Explorer, Microsoft Edge, and Mozilla Firefox. The next question is, can you please explain the automation browser with its advantages? So Microsoft Power Automate mainly helps to make browsers automated. So it provides some features for smooth automation. Apart from this, it has inbuilt features for different browsers. So there are many key advantages of Power Automate, such as the browser works out of the box in a different browser with a secured configuration that protects the browser from hacking. In an automated browser, downloading needs to do a single click in the latest version browser. Next, it automatically compresses the data to a particular dialog box for many pop-ups and URLs. And last but not the least, Automation Browser has a feature to open a link in a new tab in the same browser window in the exact instances. So these were some of the advantages of automation browsers. Okay, so guys, with this, we have completed the fresher category of questions for Power Automate. And the next category of questions is for the experienced candidates. So as I said earlier, so these questions will be helpful for those candidates who have at least 2 to 3 years of experience in Power Automate. So let's begin the next question. So the next question is, describe UI flows services. So this is a Windows-based service installed in Power Automate that runs to make the browser automated. So it starts automatically to run the UI flow services during the installation itself. So it mainly supports Power Automate to make it smooth in the cloud environment. It can be done through an on-premises data gateway. The next question is, what is an exception in Power Automate? So exceptions are an event that occurs in inflow. The main reasons for this is mishandling of events. So it may be due to wrong values, unpredictable output, system failures, inconvenient resources, and so on. So all these events create dissertation inflow, which results in the slower processes. So this mechanism permits Power Automate to manage and retrieve data from unexpected errors. So it can be best collected at the action level based on the particular error. So we can also apply exceptions to the whole block. So there are a few ways to handle these exceptions, such as retrying the same action, error handling, setting the variables again, and so on. The next question is, how do we fix the desktop flow errors? So once the system or applications change, we can get desktop flow errors. So it can be fixed by data formatting or fixing up the events properly by using Power Automate. So we can use a few steps to fix this problem, such as we need to review the errors in pane. Apart from this, we need to add the breakpoints into the flow, and we need to run the desktop flow action by action from the particular file once again. The next question is, while creating the desktop flows, please mention the essential steps. Okay, so guys, as you can see on the screen, Power Automate designs a few reasonable steps for creating the desktop flows, such as reliability, flexibility, readability, maintainability, modularity, and extensibility. The next question is, can you please explain to me how to export a desktop flow? So there are 3 ways to export a desktop flow. So the first way is we need to edit the designer flow and remake the subflow. The second way is directly by using the Power Automate portal, you can share the flow with permission from the co-owner and the user. And the third way is we can export any solution which controls the desktop flow. The next question is, explain the different data loss prevention. So data loss prevention or DLP policies always protect the flow group as per the business or mark actions. So in Power Automate administration, these policies are implemented. So therefore, any non-business activity cannot be associated with these policies in Power Automate. The next question is explain process advisor. So the process advisor will guide you to understand the business properly, and accordingly, you can do optimization in your industry. Apart from this, process advisors offer many scheduled tasks on mining. The next question is tell me the differences between task mining and process mining. So guys, as you can see on the screen, these are the key differences between task mining and process mining. So the first point over here is task mining manages the tasks through which your organization is running. And in case of process mining, so it captures the event data from your system records. The second point is task mining records all the movements and actions of the users, whereas process mining does not record all the movements and actions of the users. Okay, so these are the two key differences between task mining and process mining. The next question is, what do you know about AI builders? So AI builder is an inbuilt feature in Power Automate that helps to design optimized business processes. So it runs your business with AI in Power Automate app. So we don't need to choose any models, or we don't need to configure any model because all related models are inbuilt in the AI builder. The next question is, name some pre-built AI models which are available in Power Automate. So your business drives faster through AI automated models. So there are some pre-built AI models such as ID card reader, entity extraction model, classification model, language detection model, finance model, analytical reporting model, and so on. So guys, with this, we have come to the end of the experience Power Automate interview questions. Okay, so now the next category of questions is a very frequently asked questions in Power Automate. Okay, so the first question over here is, what do you know about Power Automate? So Power Automate is made by Microsoft. So earlier the name was Microsoft Flow, but in the year 2015, it was launched, and the recent version is 2.15. So it is an online tool that is inbuilt with Microsoft 365. So this application is used to create automated processes between applications and services to collect all the big data. So now one data analyst can analyze all of those data sets, and this online application is automatically executing all the tasks assigned in a simple way with minimum code to connect two or more applications running in the same window. The next question is Power Automate free in Windows software? So the answer to this question is yes, it is a free automation tool available in Microsoft Windows 11 application store. The next question is, tell me the basic differences between Microsoft Flow and Power Automate. Okay, so Microsoft Flow helps to increase the worker's workflow, whereas Power Automate helps to make this workflow automated. If we talk about Microsoft Flow, so it is inbuilt with Microsoft 365, whereas Power Automate can be downloaded and installed in Windows. Okay, so Microsoft Flow can send notifications, whereas Power Automate can send automated notifications. Microsoft Flow cannot automatically synchronize the files, whereas Power Automate can automatically synchronize the files and the data. Microsoft Flow is not available in Power Platform, whereas Power Automate is available on the Power Platform. So these are some of the key differences between Microsoft Flow and Power Automate. The next question is Power Automate a cloud-based technology? Okay, so the answer to this question is yes. Microsoft Power Automate is a cloud-based service that helps the businesses to run simply and in an automated fashion. The next question is, how many flows I can create in Power Automate? So we can create unlimited flows in Power Automate, but this depends on the license type that you have. The next question is, how many services are available in Power Automate? Okay, so there are approximately 200 plus services which are available in Power Automate. The next question is, do you know how many rows are handled by Power Automate? Okay, so exactly 256 rows can be handled by Power Automate as it retrieves the data from an Excel sheet. So if we use pagination, then we can access more data. The next question is, do you have any idea that it can store the data automatically? So it is a workflow tool that can collect the data, but it cannot store data automatically. So therefore, we need to do some computation to store collected data using some variables. The next question is, tell me the three different types of Power Automate connectors. So guys, as you can see on the screen, these are the different types of Power Automate connectors such as business data group, non-business data group, and block data group. The next question is there any API available for Power Automate? So yes, API is available for Power Automate. So API or application programming interface is very strong in managing the flows in the cloud. So even we can resubmit all of the flows that are failed at the API's endpoints. Okay, so guys, with this, we have come to the end of this session on Power Automate interview questions. Okay, so I hope you have understood all of the questions that we have discussed here. If you have any doubts related to this session, then you can write your doubts in the comment section, and my team is here to help you with all of your doubts and queries. Okay, so guys, I hope this video will be helpful for you in revising the concepts related to Power Automate. Okay, so I wish you all the very best for your upcoming interview, and I hope you will be able to crack your dream job in your dream company. Okay, so thank you so much for being with us and have a good day.